super animate. Welcome back to the Gilded Cage podcast. I'm Julie Berger.
And I'm Amanda Lynn.
We were just discussing that that YouTube is the devil sometimes with its first clip, and you get some really funny little shots of your
Just
screenshots.
ridiculous. The most silly, and we can't pick really what we want yet. I think eventually you can. Well, the YouTube shot wasn't so bad, but then when we copied it and put it on Facebook, it was just terrible.
Well, the YouTube picture is this big. The Facebook one is this big, and you're
Right.
like,
Like,
my
oh.
whole face.
There I am, looking like something is wrong with me.
Yeah, like so mid animation.
I know. Now my face is already like really, really, really animated too.
And that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, it's hard when you are an animate person. My friend says you can never take a picture of her like talking or anything because she says I just look like something's completely like I've gone insane.
Oh yeah, I've done that with Lindley before. Like, just sat and played with the camera, and I'll be like, just talk and take pictures of each other while we're talking, and I'm like, see, that's what people do to celebrities, and they're like, oh, they're having a
make you look
huge
bad.
fight, and they're just probably like, wanna go get some ice cream? But like wanna go get some ice cream? Like,
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So, ice cream. Yes.
And then it's
Yeah.
like, see, he's yelling
Yeah,
at
he's
her.
yelling at
He's got his
her.
fist clenched. And
Yeah.
He just really wants ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, which.
So today we can talk a little bit about relationships, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about talking about today.
Yeah.
So where you want to go with it? I was actually looking into it because I was thinking about you and I having such different experiences in the relationship department, and
similarities too. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a lot of times that Lee and I had our struggles in the early years, and we just neither of us knew how to have a relationship.
yeah,
I mean, you get older, but you don't necessarily get more mature.
right. I mean, gosh, isn't that with so many people? People get older, but not necessarily wiser.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to get wiser, and sometimes you just go different ways. Like I was thinking, I was looking at statistics of it was like dramatically increased the divorce rate if you get married under the age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's so true because I don't know. I was thinking I don't know what the facts are behind that, but I would just guess.
Maturity has to happen.
Your brain's not even fully developed till you're between 23 and 25 years old.
Right.
And then you're really still figuring out who you are even.
Well, your brain's matured. Now you have to figure out who you are.
Right, now then. And so my whole 20s, I was just like, oh, yeah. Like, I look back, I'm like, what was I doing? Like, who was I? I had a baby, 24 years old.
And if we could go back and talk to you, you knew it all.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything. There were certain things that have kind of always been my underlying thread of me, and I've really like honed those in and like found that to be stronger instead of like maybe holding on to it at a level that I was afraid of it. But there are so many things. I think that's what it was. I was afraid of so many things then, and just kind of out of just not really being who I wanted to be at that point in time, and I didn't even know what that meant. And I was like, I went a completely different way, and I was married to someone who went a completely different way, and just didn't. And we both had, we were both carrying these things from childhood. I carried so much from childhood that I didn't even realize that I was carrying.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I think in your 30s and 40s is when that kind of stuff really starts to almost explode forward. And I think too that the movement towards because a lot of people say, oh, everybody blames their parents for everything. I don't blame my parents for everything, and I really don't. I think that not having a solid foundation for a child is not conducive to have a solid adult. But I don't think that it's we still make our own choices.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have to. I think we come into the realization that a lot of our adult ways are based on what we learned in childhood, and that's where you have to work through those things. I think
Yeah.
what you learn is that you are in a difficult position.
Right, that's what it is. I think because people say, "Oh, you have to go over," you can't just blame your childhood. You can't. But for me, it wasn't like blaming my childhood. It's realizing X, Y, and Z were the cause of blah
Are the
blah blah.
components of adult Amanda.
Right, and that made me the way that I am because
Mhm.
this happened and this happened and this happened, and it happened at such a deep level that I soaked it in, and I didn't even realize how that was affecting me, what fears that was creating. So I
And
had
the
to-
fear foundation it makes.
Right.
Because you're living on a foundation of fear, which goes always back to that moving floor feeling
yeah.
to where you live in fear.
And I was super aggressive, which some of that's just like my personality. I'm just like I'm a strange mixture of like a lioness and a doe. I don't know.
well, and that's considered like a flight and a fawn, and in medical, the jargon is that we have flight, fight, which we all know, freeze, and fawn, which are the two that people don't realize. And the freeze are the people who just don't know what to do, and they're deer in the headlight, and then the fawn is even further. They hide, like they just roll up into a ball like a fawn does and hope to not be seen.
Yeah.
And I would do that in a lot
That's
of ways.
more of your.
Yeah, that's my but it's actually, I've realized as I'm going through my personality and learning myself, a lot of times my first instinct is either fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
I either want to run or I want to fight, but I've learned to be a fawn. So I'm having to sort of find that place in me where when I need to stand up, I need to stand up. And when I need to get out, I need to get out.
Right.
Like, because I've told myself, you can't leave, you have to deal with this, you don't have to deal with everything. Sometimes you need to walk away so you can come back.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, running isn't unhealthy if it's for a moment or if it's to stop and
just gather yourself.
like you were saying before, to put on your headphones and that if that's your version of flight, that's a good and healthy flight, as long as you're not doing it constantly and you're not blocking out the people that you love on a regular basis. If you take that time when you feel that instinct to go and do that instead of dramatic grab the car keys and try to get out of there, and
which is nothing I've ever done before.
of course not.
I've never grabbed the car keys and ran away.
None of us have to. But it does. I think it is. I think it's something that and as we mature and as we learn ourselves and as we go to therapy and we go through these things and we read, some of these, there's some really great books out there that have really helped me to understand my behavior so that I can modify it, so I can change it.
That's the thing, like reading about something, like I was reading this book called The Sociopath Next Door, and I was realizing
That's supposed to be a really good book.
It's a great book. And I was realizing so many things in my childhood and people around me, like I was like, oh my gosh, that I didn't realize that. Like I didn't know, and I didn't know this person was what that person was, But then I was seeing like traits within myself, and I'm like, ooh, I've done that before. Ooh, I've done that before. And I had to realize, like, which opened another door for me to go, I did that because of X, Y, and Z.
And that's where we have to sort of peel the layers. Is the other person, and they call it you get fleas.
Yeah.
So it's basically you pick up behaviors, like if you would pick up a flea on a dog, you pick up behaviors, but they're not your innate behaviors.
Right.
So the difference is knowing whether or not it's something that you can ferret out and get rid of,
right,
or at least control.
More of a learned, like,
they're learned behaviors.
Yeah, it was like, this is, and that was part of that, like, when you're taught, like, you grow up in a certain way, and like, there was a time when, like, I really believed that this way that I grew up was like, so, like, this is it. This is like
it's normal.
This, I know who I am. This is you get out in the world a little bit and life punches you in the face a couple times and you realize, that's not really even what I think.
And I remember when we've talked about this before, when I first met you, you were like, I'm hard, I'm cold, nobody can get near me. And I'm just like, I just walked around the wall. I'm like,
Right.
Sorry, kid. I like you.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna be friends. And I don't normally do that with people who have walls up, but there was just this weird connection for us that immediately happened, and it's like, all right, fine. I don't really care if you got a wall or not. I think it was because the walls are similar, and I just recognized what they were sort of innately.
Yeah.
And I was like, all that crap she thinks she is and she thinks she has are really just fleas from behavior that
Yeah.
she's picked up somewhere. And when she realizes that, it's gonna change her life.
And that's the thing. Like, I didn't want to wake up to that. I think that's a struggle for so many, is that you don't want to wake up to that. But
Well, the anxiety that comes with it, I
Yeah.
literally, I went to bed almost. Like, I did not leave the house for over 6 months when I had my sort of, revelation.
yeah, your
And
awakening.
Yes,
Yeah.
and those moments when I had to go, wow, I really suck at a lot of things, and I've really been a shitty person in a lot of ways, and I need to change that.
Yeah.
And
Not that you've been a shitty person. I'm talking about my own self.
right, but we all, we relate to that, I think, and that moment for me was just, and I didn't even realize that's what was going on. I thought there was something wrong with me medically. I mean, I had all these medical tests. I wasn't eating. I lost, and I was a big girl, and I started losing weight. I lost like 20 pounds. And I was like, what in the world? I couldn't eat, it didn't know what anxiety really was. It didn't want to take medication because the only experience I'd ever had with medication was horrific. I had
Mine
taken
too.
Wellbutrin, and I thought I was, Lee was like, are you suicidal? What is wrong with you? And I had to, immediately come off of it. And I just refused. I'm like, I'm not taking anything.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, CBD is the bomb. I don't know, and when you find the right one. Like, for me, it was finding the right one. But it's like finding the
I'll
right
take that a
medication.
step further.
Yeah. But those things, there are ways around that medicated thing. Like, there's a lot of anxiety in my world right now. Just a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on, and medical stuff from part of my family, just all these things. And I know I can kind of bump up the levels of that. I've learned it. I've
Yeah.
learned what it does, and I know that on a good day I'm 7 or 8 drops of water soluble, and on a bad day I'm 15.
Yeah.
And if and I did this morning. I woke up just in extreme anxiety, and I was like, okay, I know that this is a higher day, and I did it, and
I can't take anything right now.
I know. Hello, little one.
I'm not getting fat.
Well, that remains to be seen.
I mean, I'll be huge. I'm gonna be huge, but
I'm gonna blame
There's
it
a-
on the small person.
yeah. Well, the last pregnancy, I literally gained 60 pounds. 60 pounds.
But when you have extreme morning sickness, so you have like no way to win. You have to eat.
Oh, I know I have to eat all the time. But I lost it. I lost it all within, I guess, 6 months or so. But it took a while. Didn't fall off right away. That was a huge issue for me.
I'm sure that changed your perspective of yourself.
I
Your
was
self-image.
yes, because I was so vain. Like, people think I'm vain now. You don't know. Like, when I was in my early 20s, like, I didn't want to ever be like above 110 pounds. I had my daughter.
I haven't seen that number since I was like 12. I don't know if I was even that weight at 12.
It's so funny. Like, I had my daughter, and I had all this extra weight, and it was just, it messed with me. It really did. Like, I expected to lose it, and you see all these people on the cover of magazines.
And they walk out in the jeans that they had before they had the baby, and you're like, what did you feed that
Like
child?
last
Because that
week.
child has to be like,
Yeah, like the next week on, like after they have the baby, and they're like on the
is the baby born like 3 pounds because you didn't eat anything? I mean, like,
Right.
how are you that skinny?
stop. No. Now I know there are.
Unless you're really tall.
I know there are some women who just gain the belly, and that's it. I'm not that woman. I get like the pig nose that spreads out. I get swollen. I'm waddling. Like, that's just me in pregnancy. That's the way it goes. But yeah, those women who do just get a belly.
And they go home in their
I'm not gonna
pre-pregnancy
lie.
pants.
I would bet like a 90% of us women who get huge and swollen when we're pregnant hate those women who just have the belly only for the time they're pregnant.
Yeah. And then they just.
Then we like you again. No, everybody's different. Everybody's body's different, you know. I'm just thankful that I can actually, you know, I've, you know, had a miscarriage before, so
Yeah.
this pregnancy, I'm just kind of like taking it easy. We'll just see what happens, and
Well, and I think it's
day by day.
it's important to remember that, you know, I mean, this is the greatest miracle given.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another soul inside your body,
Yeah. Isn't that weird? It's so weird.
you know, and that's not to be political. That's why it's weird for me when people call, you know, a baby a fetus, because it's like there's another soul growing in you. It's so, you know, it's
I have like this
huge.
little app on my phone, and so it shows me like the development. Like every day, I look and how big is it now?
Yeah.
And it'll be like, oh, it's the size of a, you know, a paper clip or whatever that day, and I'm like, you sure?
Yeah. My belly's saying something different.
Yeah, but we'll just see. I'm taking it day by day. I wasn't sure if I was gonna tell anybody, you know, give it a little while longer, but I mean, it's at the point. I'm just like, it is what it is. I'm here now.
Yeah.
This is where I am in this moment.
And, you know, I mean, a woman's body's going to show the second pregnancy far faster than the first. So there's, you know, it's just harder to hide. And it becomes an issue of like, do you try to hide or do you just, you know, roll with it?
Do you roll with it? I know. I was like, I was trying to hide my friend last night. She was like, oh my God, embrace it. Stop trying to hide it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's just, I'm scared because I don't want to have like a, you know, because I worry like if something happened and then I have to say,
You
go
have to deal
back
with
and
that,
just,
yeah.
so yeah, you know, I lost it because I've had to do that before.
Right.
And it's not a fun feeling to go through that. So
No,
But-
and it's awkward because people don't know what to say, but then some people oversay, and you know they don't know how are you mourning, where are you, and you know all of that. So it's a strange thing, I think. But you know once you reach 3 months or so, I mean you kind of have to say, you know, it's here. You can't, you know, I mean unless you start wearing like smocks, it's not gonna hide. So
right, and it, a friend
And
of
then
mine
you gotta
said
hide your
this
joy
too.
too. Why do you want to hide your joy?
Right, a friend of mine said like you are today.
Yeah.
So today you are. You are pregnant today. Why not say that? You know, nobody knows what's gonna happen next week
Right.
or the week after or tomorrow. Like, nobody knows that. So just be in the moment that you're in. And so
Yeah, and why?
That's
I
kinda
mean,
where I'm
why would you
taking
want to put? You know, I mean, that's like putting your light under a bushel basket. You know,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Why do you want to hide the gift that it is? So how is it in a newish relationship and mommydom knocking on the door?
it's just another level of weird. I don't know. It's just like it's fun actually. It's just it's I don't know. We just have such a connection that it feels normal. It just feels like it's weird because it's like, whoa, I can't believe I really didn't think that I could have a baby.
Right.
So I'm very just kind of nervous about the whole thing, but because I've had complications in the past, and I've had medical issues with all my womanhood, and so I just wasn't sure. So I'm older, and so there's like the fear of like, the relationship aspect of it is fine. It's all me, like in my freaking out, you know.
Right.
The relationship part of it's fine. He's super excited about it. He was saying this from the get go. So like, what? You're a weirdo. He's like, no, I want you to have my baby. I'm like, you're strange. No, I probably can't. First of all, probably don't want one. Second of all, but we'll just give it to the universe, see what happens. So
God always has a plan that we don't understand.
yeah, this is not my issue in relationships. That's for sure. It's everything else. No.
Yeah.
It's getting rid of those fleas. And I think we all bring those into relationships.
And we pick them up not just from our childhood. We pick them up from every person that we meet.
Yeah.
If we let them. Just like you were telling me, you know, that Lindley was being sort of bullied over the fact that she loves to dance and make TikTok videos.
Yep.
And that's something that no matter what you do, no matter how awesome you are to teach her self-esteem, if that ferrets into her brain, you can't get it out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can't stop, and that's why I'm just such an advocate for kindness and teaching your children kindness and teaching them not to be pushy and bully, and you know, because I went through so much of that in my life, and you know, and then in turn turned it on to other people, and it just was, you know, I did not like that feeling. Don't know why. I thought it was okay to do it to somebody else when it made me feel so horrible, but that's what kids do a lot of times, and we just don't have the, you know, if we don't have a mirror to teach us, and so you're trying so hard to teach her self-esteem, and then people are just coming in from the outside and cutting at it where you can't even.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's not working. Because she loves TikTok. She takes hip hop, you know, dance, and she loves to do TikTok videos, like most kids her age. And
I didn't even know what it was till you told me.
which her page is on private, and she only has kids that she knows that can follow her on there. But you know, a couple adults that I know that are my friends follow her. But you know, she loves it, and so she and a friend were doing their little TikTok dances, I guess at school at recess or something, and another child said, "You better not do that in middle school. You're gonna get made fun of." And I was just like, tell her to sit down, you know. Just tell her, like, ask, would you like me to teach you this dance? Because I'm always gonna be myself, you know.
Yeah, I'm always gonna be this.
I'm not a sheep. I'm gonna be myself, you know. And that's the world we're living in. Like, don't do that because you might be made fun of. Hell no. Make fun of me. I was just the kid who's like, especially because I was more shy in elementary school. I mean, I got bullied. I remember I was Lindley's age, and a girl told like the whole 5th grade not to talk to me. She had one of those slam books. She wrote my name in it, you know. And I was one of her victims, you know. And so they, you know, when you're a kid and you're walking up to your friends and they're purposely ignoring you and not speaking to you, that's a tough pill to swallow, you know.
Right.
And I just knew, like, at that moment, I was not going to sit back anymore, you know. And I never did after that. Like, I've always
that's
been
where that hive
outspoken.
mentality takes over that we talk about. You know, that's when like somebody says don't do this, and the other kids are like, well, she's kind of queen bee, so I have to do what she says. So we're not
Right.
going to talk to this person. Why you love this person? Why would you stop talking to them? Why would you start being mean to them? You know. And I can remember I was like 3rd grade, and I loved getting you know, attention from the teacher if I got something right. Like that was just you know, I wasn't a kid like with a ton of praise, so like it was so exciting for me. And so I'd study. It was something I was really interested in. I studied, and you know, I answered a bunch of questions because nobody else was raising their hand. And I'm like, oh, you know, I raised my hand, and this one kid was like, he said, he just started calling me know-it-all, you know, Miss Know-it-all. And then, but it wasn't just like a teasing kind of. It was like mean.
It was like purpose. Yeah.
It was mean. It
But see,
wasn't
don't
like
you
just
think that
jokey
stems
jab.
from some form of jealousy or envy, like the little girl who told Lindley not to dance.
And it's fear. It always goes back to fear because that little girl's afraid of being herself already.
She's afraid of being herself. And she sees Lindley and her little friends shining their light and doing their thing, and that makes her feel insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to try and shut that down in them. And I've seen that. I saw that with people in my family my entire life growing up, you know, because I was a little different. And I was myself.
And they do, I think, have some genuine concern for you because they realize it's harder out in the world when you're not normal. And, you know, so when we get outside the norm, we're just, you know...
Which for me, I've been way better off.
Right, but they fear for us, so, but what they're really fearing for is themselves because why does it matter if you know, I mean, if I'm not worried about it, why are you worried about it? You know, and Lee and I talk about that a lot. It's, you know, it's been really hard for both of us to become musicians later in life. I mean, we started at 39 and 40, you know, and people don't realize when they see you, they think you're adults, you ought to have like great skills already. You ought to just be able to pick up a guitar and play it or walk out and onto a stage and sing, but it doesn't work that way. I had to build this, you know, this voice and teach my hands. I'm still learning because I've been really lazy with guitar until the last 3 or 4 months, and I'm just really trying to dedicate like everyday time for it because you know, you're looked upon. Like if a 7-year-old's playing and it doesn't sound good, they're like, he's 7. If you're 30 or 40, they're like, she's 40. I'm still at the exact same place that the 7-year-old is. Literally. Like I'm there and he's not afraid and I am. So I've carried my adulthood into it.
Yeah.
All of my fears, and that's what my first guitar teacher said, adults are harder and easier to teach. They're harder to teach because they won't let go and have fun, and they're easier to teach because they're more perfectionist, so their chords will become, better, faster, but they will struggle to have creativity in their playing.
They think too much. I think that's what happened. A friend of mine a couple years ago, we were talking about that. How she's a photographer, and she does all kind of cool things in the creative, artsy
Right.
fashion industry actually. And she was saying like when she was in her early 20s, it was so easy for her to just be creative and just like, whatever,
Right.
this is what I'm feeling today. And as she got older, she was, because life happens.
Mm-hmm.
You might get knocked back a couple of notches, and then can't do that. You see can't more.
Right.
You see failure more, and like you get to the point you're a little more timid, to be creative, and then you also see, maybe if you do this one thing and it works, maybe that's even making income. So I'm just gonna stick with this one thing, and it gets a little fearful to go out,
Right.
outside of that. But then I think that something happens as you kind of push through that and you get to this level of I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I think that's part of
The
getting
give a
older
dang
too.
gets busted, between 35 and 40. I think there's it seems like some awakening or revelation inside of people, and mine was right about the time I turned 40, and I thought, why am I? I've always wanted to sing. I used to make up songs. I used to walk around the house singing. I love to sing. I always loved it, and I was like, why am I going to be scared anymore? And I had a couple of knockbacks, and I wanted to join some people and start playing and singing, and somebody was like, maybe she could get a voice coach first. And I did, and it was great. I mean, it was helpful in a lot of ways, but I think it was also hurtful in the beginning in some ways because I was so intimidated by them. Because, there again, I ought to be at this level already because I'm this age. So, when I'm standing in front of someone who's so shy and timid, and I was with this one coach, and she taught a lot of church singers, and so they sing up in that pretty range that I just don't typically sing in. I'm more gritty, and I was like, oh man, and so as I was going to her, I was losing more and more of my deep belty voice, the velvety tones that I have was going away because that wasn't her area, and she was like, well, you have the range, we need to push you up here, which is fine. It was a range I didn't have. I needed to learn it. And so one day she said, you know what, I'm not the right coach for you. And I was like, wow, that takes a lot for somebody to say that. She said, I'm going to send you to somebody and I'm going to have you evaluated, and I think you're going to see a whole new world. And I walked into Retta Butler's house and had my evaluation, and she said, you're mine now. And I was like, I mean, this is a woman who gets called to send people to The Voice. She's American Idol. These companies call her. They rely on her. They rely on her ear. And she said, you're good enough.
Right.
And I went, okay. Yeah. And so that sparked something in me that no one ever had. And I said, teach me everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, you amaze me because you come back every time going, give me more, give me more, give me more.
Well, you found a passion. I think that's what it's all about. You
Yeah.
have to find that passion. And whatever route that is, everybody's is different. Like for me,
And
I
you're
took a
willing to
couple
work
of years
for
of chorus and then sat in my room and recorded myself into a tape player for hours upon days, upon weeks, upon months, years, until I finally found my voice.
Right.
I was 7th, 8th grade, 4 years old, telling people I'm gonna be a singer.
Yeah.
It's just like cute.
Yeah, aren't you sweet?
Cute. And I just always knew in my soul,
Right.
And I remember I even had family members that would like make fun of me, like they would talk to another family member like, what do you think about Amanda and her little band,
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh really? Well, I mean, I've done 3 records now, so
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all have things that we have to overcome no matter.
And don't you love that word little?
Oh, yeah.
I really try not to use it because I do realize what a negative. I still do it sometimes, someone's little house or something. But I mean it like in a, it's cute and I love it, like way. But I try to remember not to even try to say that because I don't want anyone to think that I think that something's lesser.
Oh, yeah.
Because her and her little band, and
Yeah.
know that there's animosity between. It's not always that way, but we've had words
Yeah.
have become that.
This was because I was told,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just like, whatever, it stung for a second, but I'm so used to that.
Right.
That was so normal to me to hear those little things. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not even associating with that anymore because I have a vision for my sound, and I know what makes me feel alive and what makes me feel good. And it's when I'm writing and singing and when I am away from, somebody told me once, the small world will laugh, the big world will listen. And I was thinking about, man, even Jesus had to leave his hometown,
Yeah. I
So-
mean, there's a lot of talk. I mean, the Bible discusses you'll never be in your home place. You'll never be accepted,
Yeah.
and that is true. I mean, and at the same time too, I think
And it's not everyone.
No, it's definitely not. And there's been a lot of support, and there's been a lot of people who are like, wow, I just can't believe you're trying this or you're doing this. But I think that the underlying fear in it all is that, because I had become such a fawn personality, I have that fight, I want my desire to do this. I want to get up there and I want to do a good job, and I'll sort of,
You have to have more confidence.
and then when I get up there, the fawn takes over, and I roll up in the ball, and I'm like, I can't do this, and it's like I want to have my voice heard because I feel like I have the voice to be heard, and I don't mean singing, I mean the words. These are my songs, these are my gifts
The way
to
that
the world.
soul, that desire and that yearning.
And I want I
That
want to
passion.
share that, but at the same time, the fawn in me goes, no, stay small.
That's so dumb because
So
I
get
remember
little.
when you sent me the roughs of the new record, the EP that you guys did. You not remember what I was doing? I was blowing your phone.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to it and I'm like, you're crazy. This is so amazing. Oh my gosh, this sounds so good. I'm like, every song I was listening to, I was like, oh, I love that line. Like, I was just like, there was just no question. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's no question for me in that. You just grow and you put it out there and you just do the best that you can.
And yeah, and Lee, I know he said he went and saw his aunt this week, and he played her, the only song I don't sing. He played her all of them, but he played her that one because it's about his mom and her life and her relationships. And she was like, he said she would sit there and go, oh my gosh, that's so her. And this is her sister.
Yeah.
And he said, I've never felt more emotional than I did with her listening to it.
That's
and
so
it made
special.
me tear up just thinking of her hearing the words.
Yeah.
Because I realized, this is the only living link, because his other aunt has passed away, his grandmother's gone. This is the last living link that really knew his mother,
Mm-hmm.
and it touched her. And I was like, oh, that gives you the chills. And hearing myself, because you know this, you criticize every sound that comes out of your mouth because it's yours and you want it to be so. But when I walked in from the outside and opened the studio door and Hunter was in there recording that song, my knees went out from under me because I was like, that's my song and the world's going to hear it from somebody else's point of view. And that knocked me down.
Yeah. That's
Because
really
it's
cool.
one thing to be able to give it with your voice. It's a whole other animal to be able to give it from someone else's voice.
Yeah. That's always really fun.
And that's just, you're just like, wow, it's mine.
I wrote that.
Yeah.
I do that from time to time. I'll even listen to something that's older or look through a book and I'm like, I wrote that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's otherworldly. Because
It
I'm
is.
like, I don't know. I don't think that. Like, and two, I'm not the type of person who just, like, I have to be in the zone. Like, I really have to be in the zone. There's something that opens up when it's good.
Right.
When it's good, there's something that I connect to that's not here. And if I get too prideful or like, oh my god, that's so good, I'm feeling this, oh, this is gonna be good, it automatically is like,
Right.
no, little girl, you
Yeah.
don't get this now.
Yeah.
Nope. Slow down, be grateful you have it, open up, and I'll give you a little more.
Right.
But I had to learn that because I would, when I really first started opening that door, that like spiritual realm door, I would just be like, oh my god, this is so good, and it closed every single time. So now I just like let it flow and be like, that feels right, that
Yeah.
feels right, instead of getting too excited about it. But the satisfaction that I get from creating is just, there's just nothing else like it, you know.
Yeah. And to be surrounded by your gifts and to allow them in here is
Yeah.
it's just amazing. And I've been journaling, and you know, I'll go back and read some of the stuff. I'm like, oh wow. And the other day I was writing a short story, and I didn't mean to, and I got finished with it, and I gave it to Lee, and he was like, you have no idea what's going to come out of these books, because I'm like, you know, I'm like about halfway through the third journal, and he's like, there's going to be so many songs. It may not be exact words, but he's like, there's going to be so many songs that
Yeah.
are just going to jump out of you that you don't even realize.
Right, just from writing, just
Yeah.
putting it out there, putting
Yeah.
it down.
He's like, because I haven't been writing songs, and that's what I was telling him. I'm like, I'm a little freaked out because I'm not writing songs. And he's like, oh, honey, you're writing them. You just don't realize it yet.
Yeah, you just have to go with it. That was one thing that about the whole songwriting publisher thing of going to the publishing house, which is fine for some people. For me, it never felt right.
Mm-hmm.
I tried, you know, going and sitting there for 3 or 4 hours writing a song, you know, Monday through Friday or whatever it is that you're doing, and it's okay. It's just not. I have to feel it, you know. And a lot of times I have to pick up my guitar and just see.
That's
pick
me.
up my pen and just see. And if
Right,
I'm there,
because I'll say I'm not feeling it, and then I am. Or someone will call me. You know, a good friend of mine called yesterday, and she's like, I have this idea. I have this one line. And I'm like, well, what if you took it in this direction?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's why I always call you for this stuff. Like, well, I see a vision. You know, like a lot of times somebody will tell me something, and I'm like, ooh, what if it goes here?
Yeah.
But I try with my friends that write, unless it's like with you where we're actually writing it, I try not to over give because I want them to just snowball it into what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say, well, you can take it in a multitude of directions, but I hear this in my head, and then if you want to run with it, if you don't, then, you know, then don't. Just do what you, but I mean, sometimes you just need to give someone else the spark. They started it, and you just have to blow on the flame for a minute and say, yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Because if not, it'll be, you know, a book full of one-lines. Which, I got plenty of those.
I have so many unfinished songs. I saw a meme the other day. It was like this guy, like he was walking, and it was like unfinished songs, and it was just like this giant bag he was like dragging.
There's books and books here. You know, there's like,
Yeah.
no, like I have one binder that's this thick.
I think my issue too, and once I'll put it down in like my voice memos.
Mm-hmm.
I have thousands of voice memos that I've started that never go anywhere, and then I'm like, whatever, and I don't go back. And then every once in a while, I'll go back and start listening to them, and I'm like, oh shit, that's good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna work with that, and I've not done that.
Yeah.
I've had songs that came out of voice memos from 2 years before. You know, they're like,
I finished some recently that I found that were really old, you know, and stuff that I don't think is, you know, all that good. And then I'm like, oh, there really was some gems in there, you
Right.
know?
I'm a big shower writer. Like I'm in the shower. I think it's because it's just the water and there's
It's
nothing
the
else
white
going
noise
on.
too.
Yeah, it's the white noise. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing around me to take my attention away. It's so I'm just like focused, and I can just. I mean, I've written albums.
Yeah. I'm notorious for the shower and the car. Like when I have the radio off in the car
Yeah.
and there's just the road noise
Yeah.
and there's nobody else with me. One of my friends, she used to call, and I would help write her copy for like stuff that she was going to put out. And she would call me and she'd say, I need something. And I'm like, and if I was at home, I'd be like, there's 5,000 things, and then I would get in the car to go pick up lunch or something, and everything that she had said would turn into a story inside of my brain and roll out. And I was like, and I would call her, and she's like, "You're in the car, aren't you?" And we figured out really fast that every time I was in the car, whatever she needed would come out of me. And so I'd be like,
That's so cool.
don't even talk. I'm just going to spit this out so I don't forget it, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, "All right." And then she would get it all, you know, and you know, she would send me, she'd be like, "I want to go this like 5 hours." I'm like, "Don't do that. Just send me an idea. Just tell me what you want, you know, because if I'm in a place where I can go and do it, I love that. Like, I love helping someone create something. It's like, just send me your outline."
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I'm just so spontaneous. I'm just like so, I don't know, just everything is such chaos when it comes to my creativity.
Yeah.
It's like,
And mine is, but I love to be able to
bolts
focus it.
in at when it does. You know what I mean? It's hard.
And mine won't always focus when I want. I mean, like I said, if I'm here and doing other things, it's probably not going to come. But
Oh,
if you
you
give me
know
somewhere that's quiet, I'm
One of
going
the
to
worst places that I write, and I do it all the time, I get ideas, is when I'm washing the dishes. I swear to God. I'm washing the dishes.
There again, it's that white
It's
noise
that-
of the
Yeah, and I'm
water.
doing the thing. I'm washing it. There's been so many times that dishes just don't get done because I am doing the dishes and I get like this idea and I'm singing and I'm like, oh, that's something. I must go work on this now. Like,
I
I
was writing a song in the middle of cooking dinner one night, and I'm like, I hope I don't get the family E. coli because I'm running over and grabbing the pen every few minutes. You know?
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
funny.
I can't stop, and I have to like try and I'm like washing my hands really fast so I can go over and write, and then I go back and start cooking, and then I'm like, but I had the entire song written within like 20-30 minutes, and then I sent just all the verses, and I sent it in the chorus, and sent it to a friend, and they heard it, immediately knew what it was, sent back the bridge, and it was like it fell together in
Instantaneous.
less than a day. You know, it was like, oh my gosh, these are like my these are my favorite songs because they're just like poof, they explode. I had a friend that I used to write with, and we wrote this song, and I couldn't hear the chorus, and I was just like, play chords. And as soon as he started playing chords, all the words fell out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's and I was always trying to. I would go to every time I go to a guitar lesson, I would end up writing a song instead of learning to play guitar because that was just where my head would go.
That's what I still do. I mean, I don't play guitar for shit because I don't have to be a fancy guitar player to get inspired. That's my problem.
Well,
Like, oh, can't hit a couple chords, and I'm like,
my friend
this
laughs.
whole melody.
My friend Jeff laughs at me. He's like, I don't even know how you hear a thing. Because I'm like, I'll play the G to the C to the D, and then I'll move the capo, and then because I want to hear the key it's in. Because that's all that my brain at that moment is just like, what key are we in? I'm not thinking melody necessarily. I mean, I am, but
My
I'm not.
first single I wrote to a hairdryer, so.
Yeah. So, but Jeff laughs. He goes, I don't even know how you hear anything. And I said, I hear a beat in my head, and all I'm doing is, because a lot of times I can't get, because I am not a great guitar player, I cannot get the beat out of here into the guitar. So I have to just either tap on it or strum it really, really lightly and find the key. And then, Lee taught me the thing where you take the F shape and you just move it all the way down like the bar chord. And then you're like, oh, that's the key. And then I have a whole, like for the longest time I had a list that told me what key I was in.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? What does that make that? And instead of just moving the capo constantly, and he taught me that. And so then I'll be like, oh, I'm in the key of whatever. And then I would go sit down and, then I would usually take it to someone and say, this is how I hear me singing it. Because if I don't do that, what happens is I rewrite it because I only have a few melodies that I can really play well. So I have to go to someone who can play a melody better. And I'm like, this is how it sounds. It goes deedly deedly deedly, because otherwise it'll turn out to be like the other songs. So I'm always like looking for that person that just has, that there's going to be this person that comes along in life that has nothing but melodies, and it's just going to be like this explosion. I'm lyrics and melodies all the time. That's it. And I usually, a lot of times I hear melodies first, and the melodies open the door to the words. Yeah.
Because I'll just sit sometimes and like almost speak in tongues and play guitar, and then
because when we've written, I just I hear pieces out of what you're humming that I grab onto words that I'm like, oh, That makes
Yeah.
sense with this
I'm like,
melody.
this is the word, whatever this song is. That's that word, and
Yeah.
then because I just go by the way that I feel because music is magic.
It is.
It's not, for me, the way that I like to write. It's not. I mean, I can sit there and like we were
It's a
saying, we can.
gift. I always
I
tell
have
people
the
that.
silly bro country songs that I write for fun,
Oh, I love
just
to do that.
because,
My
it's
old
not
guitar
hard.
teacher told me one time, he said, you need to go get you like just like a 500 square foot office in Nashville and you just write rhymes for people. Because my brain rhymes
Yeah, you're
everything.
your brain does rhyme everything.
And I find some really great lyrics that way. Really,
Yeah.
really do. Because, but that's where it naturally goes. I mean, like the dog will be going through and I'm like, oh, Cash is a very fun chap. He likes to take little doggy naps.
Yeah.
And the dogs look at me like, it's insane. I mean, just because that's like, that, and I don't even think what rhymes with chap, it just comes out. And then I'm like, that's so weird. Why does my brain do that?
But it's cool. It's for a
It's just-
reason.
it works,
Maybe you should do like a poetry book.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and I do have some that are, I do have some poems that kind of come from that, but a lot of times they really are, they're in the structure of a song and they come out and I'm like, okay, they fit a time signature and they work and I sit down and then sometimes I have to condense, but it's a strange way, but it's a gift and I always say songs are a gift,
Yeah.
and if we embrace that, that's it's the greatest thing because it's a gift to us, it heals us.
Yeah.
And then we get to give it to other people.
Yeah. I didn't know as a songwriter, I didn't realize not everybody heard melodies in their head all the time.
Was it?
Until
I
I
just
went to
found out
Nashville.
some people don't have inner dialogue in their head.
Right. I heard that too. What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's so
They have
strange.
to speak it before they think it.
I'm almost like an absolute narrator of my life inside my head.
Me too.
But, well, wrap it up?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Well, thank
Oh.
you for
Thanks for joining us.
joining us on our
And please come and join us on Facebook and Instagram and
Yep.
YouTube.
YouTube.
Subscribe.
On social media.
subscribe.
Subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff.